there, it's Polly here. Yay! Happy Pride. So, a while ago, I did a review for you on Braunstein, the first real role-playing game. Now, what's been interesting to see is that there are some role-playing games that have essentially used that old, beautiful primal role-playing system to springboard onwards. And so there are now some old school games which they're not D&D based, they're essentially Braunstein based. There's a very cool one called Blood of Pangea. Now, these are designed to look like the games that you would get back in the 70s. They've been typed by someone sort of in their basement, using the kind of inspiration that was available to someone in the 70s. So the kind of like literature that was around, you know, Tolkien, Moorcock, these sorts of things, with those same wargaming roots that informed those early games. You know, this is the core aim that the designer has had. He succeeded very well. It's a very, very playable game and incredibly simple. Blood of Pangea. So, what you do in Blood of Pangea is create a character. And this is really, really wonderfully simple. It's they're saying this is essentially a human-dominated sword and sorcery style world. We're thinking kind of Conan-y sort of thing here. So, you've got really no real characteristics at all. You decide what class you're going to be. Now, you can be a warrior. You can be there's a kind of a thief come essentially pirate reaver style scoundrel-y sort of thing, or you can say that you're going to be a sorcerer. You've got 30 words. You've got to write a 30-word narrative about your character. In that narrative, you've got to know their sex, their gender, what their class is, something about where they're from and what they're doing, and this also outlays any skills and abilities that they might have. You write them down in this. So you could say Clytemnestra was found and raised by pirates in the Skull Islands. She grew up in their rowdy towns and has gone off on pirate missions. She's great at she can work a ship. She's a dodgy character. Thinks that she's great at gambling but isn't. Thinks that she's great at drinking but isn't. But is a cunning thief. You know, you create this little narrative. Gorak is warrior. Gorak is strong. Gorak very good at snugging people on head. Gorak never gets sick. Sick for weak people. Gorak strong people. I don't know. Whatever you feel like putting down. Setharan is an exiled noble from the kingdom of Squiffle-Doo-Doo. A master of the arts of arts and sciences. He was not appreciated at court. Was ousted by an intrigue and is now in exile, hoping one day to return. Okay. Well, this guy can claim, I'm a courtier, so all right. Well, I've been taught some fencing, but I'm not brilliant at it. But I've been taught some fencing. Obviously, I'm a courtier. I know a bit of intrigue. I got ousted, but that doesn't mean I'm bad at it. But I know courtier stuff, and I said I'm skilled in science and art. So yes, I can do the maths for you. I can figure out where the stars are. So these are your skills. This is what you're writing down. Now, Braunstein had a resource called Luck that you managed. This one has one called Might. You have Might. If your character is illiterate, you gain 2 extra Might. Otherwise, everyone pretty much starts with 9 Might. 10 Might, sorry. Might can be expended during the course of the game. If you are attacked and hit, whack, might comes off you. When might gets to 0, you die. Armor has might in it, and that absorbs damage by basically having might that is used to counter damage that comes in. Anything that would normally have killed you, you can expend might to negate. However, of course, when you rest at the end of a fight, that armor damage kind of, that comes back as well. And shield also gives you might that withstands damage. When you rest, might comes back. But you can also expend might to affect any dice roll, and you can do that after you make the roll. So if you needed a 9 to succeed in that cool thing, and you rolled an 8, well, you can retrospectively say, I'm going to spend a might and make it happen. Or spend 2 might. You rolled a 7, you needed to be a 9, so you can push your rolls that way. It's just you've got to be careful. But that is your resource. The game runs off 2d6. A simple task, you're looking for a 7 or higher. A daunting task is a 9 or higher. To hit someone skilled at fighting like an adventurer is a daunting task. You'll need a 9 or higher to hit. You roll 2 dice, and on a 9 or higher you'll do 1 might in damage to them. On a 12 you'll do more. 2 points. You get an extra point of damage if you're using a 2-handed weapon. But obviously then you won't be able to use a shield. Fair enough. There is some options that allows you to use a deadlier system if you want, that does more damage on higher dice rolls. Up to you. You can, because the whole idea in this is that these games were guidelines. They're almost a dialogue between the characters and the players. And this is the strength of this game. It's not hard and fast rules. What character did I make in this sword and sorcery adventure? And what role am I going to have? You're playing a character whose narrative that you've created. So it's not about hard numbers, plus and minus. It's about what you've told the Empire in the story you can do. Really interesting system. Scary. I've played it with my friends here, and yeah, it's scary to some people who are like really into character sheets with hundreds of bonuses and minor powers and so on. No, it really is. The characters are more like a vehicle for the players, so these guys can figure out problems and so on. It's not done on dice roll. It's you saying what you're doing. Now the magic system is likewise an interesting dialogue. You can be a sorcerer. To cast a spell, you must spend might to do it. It costs you a might to cast a spell. The spells can be anything you want. You just say how the magic works, with the caveats that it can't do any permanent damage. They can confuse or delay people for like a d6 plus 1 turns. They can move you. They can replicate effects that could be done physically. Other effects as negotiated with the Empire. So I could cast a spell that basically blinds someone for 1d6 plus 1 turns, or makes them think they're a chicken for 1d6 plus 1 turns. If I fall down the bottom of a pit, I could cast a spell that gives me gecko fingers so I can climb the wall, or teleports me up to the top, because that could have been replicated somehow if there was a ladder. It replicates a potential physical thing. I could jump across that gulf because it is travel, even though I can't really replicate, I guess it was a bird. You can do things that could change you into an animal or something. Again, it lasts, for a while. You can have things that affect more than one person. You have to spend extra might to have it affect extra people. You can make a spell that does permanent damage, but it costs you an extra might to do it. So it may not be worthwhile. But there are, obviously, if you're a sorcerer, you might also gain the ability to use whatever magical items the Empire decides are around. However, since it's sort of Conan inspired, there ain't much of that around. There's a beautiful array of different simple kind of equipment, lots of world building stuff in these rules. Look, I think this is a charming idea. It's so simple. It's really more storytelling than game, which is, like I said, exactly what they're striving for. Something that's kind of a story dialogue that you're building yourselves. Um, very, very clever. Now, there's a second part to this game. There is a science fiction version. So Blood of Pangea has a companion set of rules. These are for science fiction, old style kind of blaster in one hand and your rocket with fins that takes off vertically the way God and Robert Heinlein surely intended. So they've spun this same system to a really good kind of two-fisted, Jeb Space Ranger kind of adventure idea. Uses exactly the same thing. They've got a list of the kind of skills and so on that you might want to put into the narrative to cover the science fiction aspects of it. They put a range of different races from a setting that comes in this set of rules, so that these things do give you sort of little abilities and differences. Attached to this, there is a space combat system, very like the personal combat system. The ships have a set of hit points. They've changed might to life, so you are shepherding that rather than might, because might sounds very sword and sorcery. So they thought life points would be better for a sci-fi thing. But yeah, so space combat system where you're firing lasers and missiles at each other and taking hit points off and that sort of thing. You can be a psionic. You can have psionic powers. If you've got them in your initial narrative, then you can have that. Otherwise, you might be able to develop them later on, but it'll cost you to do it. An array of quite simple equipment, and they've made a whole little world there. It's a kind of a space empire thing. There are different systems, and there's Terrans and there's Syrians, there's lizard guys and Ursoid guys, and there's like they've done a sort of a psionic order, which is, it ain't Jedi, it ain't Lensman, but it's in that vein, that very kind of E. Doc Smith sort of vein. These guys have, if you get psionic powers and so on, you're probably part of this order. They have a code of honor and so on. They can use like a mighty laser sword and all this sort of thing. But if you can turn to the dark side, which gets you things, because there's an evil order as well, which is out there doing stuff, and they really like recruiting guys from the good order to get them over, because that not only makes them stronger, but it weakens the good guys, and the good guys might send their guys out to come after you if you've turned to evil and started chopping people up. So look, again, it is a very simple sci-fi system based on this wonderful idea of writing a narrative down. They have kind of sample characters they've done, so it'll be like, Jed 2 Stars was raised in the asteroid belt, where he became great at repairing machinery and kludging together things from old spare parts. He was a smuggler, an expert smuggling pilot, very good at hiding things and dodging from the cops. Today he's been working largely still smuggling, but he's been trying to explore some of the areas of ancient lost civilizations, hoping to find cool artifacts that he can smuggle back for sale. All right, so that guy's told you he's a pilot, he's a scrounger, good at kind of repairing stuff, and has a bit of an interest in ancient tech. All right, great, off you go. This whole game system, I find the simplicity of it charming. So as I said, 2d6 roll. You've got your might or life as your resource that you're managing. It's very, very simple, almost scarily simple, but it really is a role-playing game taken from the roots of Braunstein, that original first game. And what would happen if we hadn't all gone the D&D route, which then progressively went more and more and more into numbers, then abilities, and then now power spirals and superpowers. But what if we gone the Braunstein way, where it's about the story? An interesting piece of work, and very, very playable. That's the thing. You don't miss not having all the numbers on the character sheet. I know my character's spry and dodgy, and because I wrote the narrative. I know this one's like a waif born on the streets and has tons of street smart skills. That's the character I wrote. It's great stuff. So anyway, well worth a try. Only costs a couple of bucks on drive-through to get the PDF. So worth a look at, worth a read. The fact that it expanded from like Sword and Sorcery into a sci-fi adventure, yeah, I really like that. This is something that's got good bones, and it's got some good ideas that are worth kind of looking at for your own gaming sessions. I do like the narrative idea of coming up with that little 30-word story about yourself that's got your skills and everything. You might want more numbers on your sheet, whatever, but that narrative is a very good thing that you might look at introducing into whatever other games you're playing. Anyway, I think this is good work, and I think it's well worth taking a look at. And again, historically, the fact that it's rolled onwards from Braunstein, really interesting and really well done. If you've liked the reviews, by all means, like, subscribe, find me on Patreon. Do tell people about the channel. I'll keep hunting out strange and interesting stuff for you guys. I'm really, really thrilled to see the amount of just skill and invention and joy that's going into people's game creation these days. And yeah, I'm really happy to be bringing to attention some of the indie press stuff that doesn't get enough of the light shone on it. Anyway, cheers everybody. Keep gaming. Bye.